So hello, my name is Jürgen. I'm representing the Estonian Concrete Association, but by day I'm a structural engineer, so you can ask me technical questions later, but my presentation will be a bit less technical than the previous presentations have been. So I'll just give a short overview of the contest of the best concrete building of the year that we have organized in Estonia for last 25 years. So yeah, the first edition of the contest was in year 2000. We were inspired by our Finnish colleagues that have organized a similar competition since 1970. And the idea was to raise the public awareness and improve the perception of concrete construction. So all structures can take part. It's not just for buildings, although the English name says Concrete Building of the Year, we actually mean concrete construction in general. So I'll show a short overview or a small selection of winners afterwards, so you can see that all kinds of structures have won the competition. Another important thing is that it's not just an architectural competition, and it's not just a competition for concrete companies. It's a combination of everything that is awarded and appreciated in this competition. So we give out awards to all the participants. And also the jury is not only architects or not only engineers or practitioners. So we have representatives from all the different trade organizations. So one from the Architects Association, one from the Association of Consulting Companies, one from general contractors, from material producers. And traditionally we also have a member from the Finnish Concrete Association in the jury. So these are the winners from last year. So you can see it's quite a lot of people, because this is what construction is like. It's a cooperation of a lot of people. The award is traditionally a concrete cube that has different colors for different participants. Architect got the darkest one for some reason. Yeah, so we give out the award to the architect, to the client, here in the middle, the proudest man, then to the engineer here, then to the general contractor, to the concrete producer, if it's a concrete element building, then to the concrete element producer, and also to the formwork company. So as we have already given out 24 awards, this year's competition is still ongoing. So I won't show you all the works that have received the awards, although it was difficult to make a selection. So I chose projects that are maybe representative of its time or are just like different enough to be interesting. So the first award was given in year 2000. We always organize a large event to give out the award as well. It's we call it Our Concrete Day. It's a half-day conference with a guest speaker, normally from abroad. We try to make it as interesting as possible for all the participants, which are architects, engineers, builders. So normally it's an architect who's presenting, because this is more interesting for some reason to others than engineering details. The first edition of the competition was especially grand in its organization. So the guests, it was held in the National Library in Tallinn, and the guests were greeted by an orchestra at the entrance. And that was the idea, to make it as visible as possible. And because it was also organized at a time when concrete still had quite a poor reputation from the Soviet times, that it was more a symbol of the cheap mass construction. And we wanted to show that concrete can be beautiful, and concrete can be used to make things modern, fresh, durable, and good architecture. So the first winner was a school building It was also one of the first new school buildings in independent Estonia. It was a private school, and the design was like markedly different from the previous standard Soviet school buildings. And they used concrete as the main material because it's durable. The building looks more or less the same. I actually can't tell if the main picture was taken 25 years ago or was it more recent, because the building looks still the same. That's probably a more recent picture. Yeah, that's the first winner is still, we were happy that that was the first project that won, because it's easy to tell people to go and see that, because it still looks, you understand why it won the prize, because it really shows concrete in its best form in terms of durability and like the possibilities for architecture. So the next year's winner was slightly different, that this showed concrete in in a different form, that it was a practical building, a dry bulk terminal in Muuga harbor. It was actually built with using a pneumatic formwork. So the outside that you see is plastic, so it was filled with air and then sprayed with insulation and then sprayed with concrete inside. So it's purely practical building, but it also achieves quite an elegant shape. Another example that is still well appreciated is an office building in the outskirts of Tallinn. Here the architects combined white concrete with normal gray concrete, and it's like on a nice day, like on the picture, the surfaces look quite similar, but when it's a rainy day, then you can see how concrete changes its face. That white concrete doesn't darken as much as normal concrete, so then the contrast is much bigger between the different surfaces. And it also, this project shows like exceptional quality of the concrete surfaces. Both the architects, engineers, and the builders made really exceptional job with this project, achieving like near perfect concrete surface qualities. Then in 2007, a bridge project won the competition. That it's an arch bridge on a highway between Tallinn and Tartu, our main cities. So a lot of people use it every day. It saved, I think, the construction of this new bridge saved, I think, 90 seconds per trip to Tartu, but if you add it up over the years and all the people that used it, then it's years of time saved. But it's also architecturally a beautiful shape that most people don't see because they pass it with a high speed. Like also structurally, I know in Latvia you have much larger bridges than we do, but we are quite proud of that one as well. That it's an arch bridge that is not built that often nowadays. Of course, the ground conditions were challenging, and the construction sequence had to be considered very carefully when designing this bridge. So in this case, as there is no architect, so the main prize was given out to the engineers of the bridge. Then another project that is maybe the most easy to access is the extension of Tallinn Airport passenger terminal. So if you arrive by plane to Tallinn, then we are very happy that you're greeted with very beautiful concrete surfaces. So also in this case, white concrete was used. It's all cast in place. And yeah, the concrete surfaces are really, if you know to appreciate nice concrete surfaces, then you will enjoy this structure. A different example is a sculpture made of concrete that won in year 2011. In this case, the sculptor Lukas Kühne from Germany. designed a structure that can be interacted with. That's it's actually designed so that the different rooms inside this sculpture amplify different frequencies of sound. So you can go inside and make different noises and hear how it sounds in different parts of the sculpture. So it's meant to be really played with. The sculpture, and with the same team of engineers and practitioners, have built similar iterations of the same idea also now in Iceland, in Norway, in Finland, and last summer a team of 5 Estonian construction workers and not just construction workers. It was actually the owner of one of our best concreting companies that spent 4 months in Japan building a similar structure there. So they built like a mock-up of the formwork and did like a test casting in Estonia, and then they delivered everything to Japan and built it up there and cast it there. So it's actually not officially opened yet, this sculpture in Japan, but yeah, once it's open, they made a nice movie about it. I hope that you will get the chance to see it one day. So yeah, that's a view from inside that of the sculpture in Estonia, where you can get really close with concrete. And also, as the sculpture said, in this case, that concrete was really exactly the right material for a structure like this, that is durable, that has hard surfaces, that will reflect the sound like he wants to. And that is, yeah, as actually another sculpture said, that she loves to work with concrete because concrete is cheap. So so she can do large things without it being overly expensive and achieve the same result as she wanted. Another project that is different from the others is the reconstruction of seaplane hangars in Tallinn. So these shells were built in 1917, and when they were finished, they were the largest concrete shells in the world. So it's 3 shells, 42 by 42 meters. They were designed to house seaplanes, but they were actually never used for that purpose because the First World War ended before they could be used. And they were fully reconstructed in 2010s, or finished in 2012. And now they house a maritime museum in Tallinn. The project was a huge challenge for engineering-wise, because the structure had deteriorated really badly, and first the engineers had to figure out if it's salvable at all. The shells are, in thinnest places, they are only 5 centimeters thick. So the concrete covers of nowadays would demand already a thicker structure like this. But as a shell is a very efficient efficient shape structurally, then it actually, the engineers proved that yes, it can work if we restore it well enough. And so the construction company Nordecon says that they were the largest sponsors of the project because it was the largest loss for any project that they got from this one, because they had to manually fill more than 3 kilometers of cracks in the shell, and then in some places replace it completely. But the result is totally worth it. It's a museum open to public. So if you happen to come to Tallinn, then I totally recommend visiting it. Another example of a project that probably influences the largest number of people in Estonia is a traffic junction in Tallinn that is arguably the busiest and the most important traffic junction in Estonia. And it also has the longest tunnel that we have in Estonia. So it's the main two parts of it are a 150-meter long viaduct and a 400-meter long tunnel that was built in challenging ground conditions because it's just next to the Ülemiste lake, and it's actually below the lake surface, and the soil is sandy, so the water flows there very freely. So there is a very high level of water, and also the tunnel like kind of forms like a barrier between the lake and downhill. So the groundwater movement had to be studied, and additional structures built in order to avoid like water accumulation on one side of the tunnel. But while it's challenging like both traffic-wise and structurally, the concrete surfaces on this project also look very beautiful, although most people don't see it because they pass by 70 kilometers per hour, but still a lot of attention was paid on the quality of the concrete surfaces. A more recent project that is also very highly visible and popular in Tallinn is Tallinn Cruise Terminal. The terminal was built for cruise ships, but it's actually the main audience for that are just city dwellers. It's a 700-meter long promenade along the waterfront, and although it doesn't lead to anywhere, you just have to go 700 meters one direction and then turn back and come back. It's very popular, and on nice summer evenings, it's always well used. It's always filled with people. And yeah, so there are also like playgrounds and different activities, and very expensive but very nice restaurant. And also like a room for conferences there. And the last winner, like the winner of the competition last year, was a private house in Pirita, which is also a suburb of Tallinn. And I was also in the jury this time, and apparently for the first time the jury decision was really unanimous, or unanimous. So all the jury members agreed that this one should win the project, because it really shows the love of concrete in its purest form, that the client and the owner of the concreting company that did the concreting works were actually desk mates in school. And it was also already at school that the client told that he wants to once live in a completely concrete house. And now, 30 years later, he got his dream fulfilled. And the project was very well thought through by like all the parties. So, for example, all the formwork lines in the whole building were aligned, and which means that everything else had to be aligned as well. And then the architect has a nice picture of the building where you can see that actually the formwork ties, they leave holes after casting, and you can see through the building along these holes because they're all perfectly aligned. And of course, like all the electric cables, the ventilation, floor heating, everything was hidden inside concrete. Yeah, the floor is timber in this building, and the bed is also made of other materials, but almost everything else in this building is either concrete or glass. So, yeah, to conclude, the concrete building of the year, it's the oldest competition of this kind in Estonia. And the purpose of the competition, and which we think that it has fulfilled, is to highlight concrete in all its expressions, from just purely aesthetical ideas to just to functional qualities. And what was the most important thing was that it was supposed to raise the level of awareness of concrete, and we have succeeded with this. The competition is well known by the public. I've actually seen some ads for the flats for sale where they advertise that this is in a building that has won the award, or even that it has received mention from the jury of the award. So people do know about the competition, and they do appreciate the winners. So thank you from me.